Marble steps are cool at dawn. Olive leaves still hold the night. Smoke is curling slow and thin. Names I whisper to the light. Sing, oh, sing to the stones and sky. Let the old words rise. Let the old words rise. Feet on earth and eyes held high.
So, folkens, welcome back to another video. Today we are heading into the Cimbrian War with HistoryMarche. I'll have the channel up on the screen. I've been pretty busy recently. There's been like a huge storm here in Denmark. Some say it's like the worst in like 40 or 50 years. So that's been a lot of cleanup to do, a lot of trees that's been falling and stuff like that. I was recently out on a place with like a lot of like geese and swans and stuff, and the trees had like falling down on the enclosures. So that was pretty interesting. So yeah, but now I'm done with that and I am ready for doing some history. Cimbrian War, I never really heard about the Cimbrians. It was pretty interesting because I'm Danish. So yeah, apparently this is a Danish tribe that actually fought the Romans. So that's pretty interesting. Again, like in Denmark history, we kind of just start with like the Viking Age, and then we kind of just go like to like, yeah, we don't really do a lot of history like between Vikings and Second World War. So not a lot I actually learned in school from it. So we are heading into this and start to learn some new stuff about my own country. That's pretty interesting. I didn't expect that. So let's begin.
It's the dying years of the 2nd century BC, and Roman consul Gnaeus Papirius Carbo marches to confront a new northern threat to the Roman Republic. Their Tauristi allies having requested aid, Carbo is confident he has the barbarians at ease and totally at his mercy. As he nears the city of Noricum, he spies out the best location from which to launch his ambush against the Cimbri and Teutones tribes. Yet as thoughts of establishing a temporary camp cross his mind, messages begin to hurriedly pass down the column. The ground shakes with the beating of great war drums, and the war cries of his foes echo in the cold breeze as thousands of Cimbri and Teutones warriors begin their charges. Carbo and his centurions frantically bark orders for their men to form up. Alas, the barbarian warriors swiftly smash into the surprised legionaries. Carbo's hopes of betraying this foreign folk and proudly entering Rome in a triumph melt away into the pit of his stomach as the screams of his men begin to shatter the air. The Cimbrian War.
Damn, they're like way more than I thought as well. Like, damn. That's a lot of warriors, though. Jesus. So, this is going to be pretty interesting. I wonder, like, that's a pretty far march from Rome, from Denmark to, like, Italy. Wonder why.
Had now truly begun. The Cimbrian War that began in 113 BC was sparked by Roman paranoia of migrating folk. A few years before the onset of hostilities, the Cimbri, a Germanic folk inhabiting the area roughly corresponding to the Jutland Peninsula, left their lands. Unfortunately, little is known about them. Even their Germanic identity.
By the way, if anyone is curious, the Jutland Peninsula in Danish is called Jylland. This is northern Jutland. That's where I'm from, Nordjylland.
Is being disputed with a possible Celtic origin. Strabo doubts that the flooding theory of displacement truly occurred. However, whatever their exact origins or reasons, the Cimbri, likely numbering in the hundreds of thousands, marched menacingly south. En route to their fated first encounter with the Roman army, the Cimbri, along with their
hundreds of thousands. You gotta have like a pretty wild warrior culture, because like in Denmark today we are like 6 million, I think. And like that is like with advanced farming technology.
allies, the Teutones, were confronted by the Boii people in the Hercynian forest, now modern-day southern Germany. Unwilling to cede their lands, the horde was beaten back and forced on. It was then that the Germanic alliance was similarly denied settlement by the Scordisci, a Balkan tribe. Reorienting west, the clash with Rome swiftly became an inevitability. Yet it was not angry legionaries that the Germanic warriors initially faced, but their allies. The Teutones folk inhabited the lands of Noricum, too close for comfort for both the native inhabitants and, as it transpired, for Rome. Unlike their hostile hosts beforehand, the Teutones were unable to eject their unwanted guests, and so sent word to Rome for aid. As allies and friends of the Roman people, the Senate were all too willing to oblige. One of the year's consuls, Gnaeus Papirius Carbo, raised an army of around 30,000 men and marched north, taking up a position in...
Okay, so it's 30,000 against 100,000. I mean, it's not the worst odds when we talk about Rome, but again, they were taken off guard. I was worried it was like 10-1.
A pass. Carbo, as with any hot-headed and eager Roman leader of his day, must have had hopes for battle and glory vying in his mind. Such an opportunity to confront and crush an impressive enemy right on Rome's doorstep could immortalize him, as well as gain him and his men vast riches, and perhaps even the most coveted of honors, the triumph. How disappointment must have flooded over Carbo then, on receiving the barbarian ambassadors. Far from a proud and belligerent folk willing to play their part, the Cimbri and Teutones' attitude was apologetic. Perhaps cognizant of Rome's military reputation, they pledged to have no ill intentions, assuring the consul that they would vacate allied lands immediately.
Really?
Perhaps through gritted teeth, Carbo agreed and supplied guides to assist the unwanted guests out of Noricum. Yet behind the smiles and nods of understanding, Carbo had no intention of allowing the barbaric host to exit allied lands unblooded. Ordering the guides to lead them by a specific path, the consul intended to march ahead and ambush the invaders further east. The traitorous move, however, was to prove his army's undoing, as the Cimbri scouts tracked Roman movements.
Damn.
Being alerted to Carbo's betrayal, the Cimbri turned the tables on the Romans. Falling mercilessly on the Romans near Norea,
I wonder what fighting style the Cimbrians used. Because, I don't know, did they use like the shield or like Vikings or something? I've seen Vikings. It was a pretty good show.
Sight of the larger, blue-eyed and raging northern warriors must have struck terror into the hearts of many a Roman that day. crashing into the Roman column of march.
This is like one of the first times I ever seen like Romans flee. Damn.
Carbo's legionaries had no hope of effectively resisting.
Ooh, there's
The
more.
initial slaughter took merely minutes. Of the original 30,000 fighting men, a mere 6,000 escaped destruction. This given the fortuitous intervention of a great thunderstorm and the proximity of nearby woods that permitted their retreat.
Damn.
Perhaps among the scattered parties huddled within their cover, Gnaeus Papirius Carbo too had survived. His dreams of glory and triumph as shattered as his army, he shamefully returned to Rome, where the people branded the consul's defeat as a just reward from the gods for his duplicitous actions. Following Nerea, terrifying tales of the wrath of their foes, as well as darker whispered stories of the post-battle practices of the barbarian priestesses, must have frozen Roman hearts as the victorious northerners moved on.
Damn.
Perhaps to the great relief of those same Romans awaiting the storm, it never came. Like that great terror of the Second Punic War, the Cimbri and Teutones did not press their advantage, moving westwards rather than south. It would be Gaul who would suffer in the immediate years. Rome was instead granted a precious reprieve.
Damn.
In 109...
I wonder how Rome is going to defeat these guys now. Like, these guys are like so powerful and there are so many. And they seem to be pretty effective at fighting. So, pretty interesting. It seems to also be a pretty long war. Like
9 BC, the northern problem once again reared its head. Now the allied barbarian army was in the vicinity of Gallia Transalpina, a full Roman province, which necessarily provoked a firm response. This came in the person and army of consul Marcus Iunius Silanus, who was incidentally serving that year alongside Quintus Caecilius Metellus, the man overseeing the ongoing Jugurthine War to the south.
ooh. Wait, so this is at the same time as the Jugurthine War. Damn.
As in Noricum, the barbarian army sent emissaries to humbly request land for payment, and perhaps, to their reckoning, they sweetened the deal further by suggesting that they could fight for Rome in return for a permanent home.
Say yes.
Silanus sent these ambassadors on the Senate, who predictably rebuffed the suggestion. While such an agreement was...
Rome wins its own battles. Okay. I kind of remember Rome having a lot of mercenaries and allies. Maybe it's changed, but...
quite normal in the future later imperial period, such a deal was anathema to these proud men. The result when the two forces came to blows was a grisly repeat of Nerea. Silanus's army was crushed, while its commander survived to be charged for the disaster. Luckily for Rome, however, the enemy's decision not to ravage Italia itself was also repeated. The Cimbri and Teutones pressed on through Gaul, while the Tigerini raided Gallia Transalpina itself. This in turn caused a local Roman client tribe to revolt, exacerbating Rome's problems in the region. In 107 BC, the Republic sought to re-establish its dominance across the Alps and sent consul Lucius Cassius Longinus to meet the Tigerini threat. For a change, things seemed to be looking up for the Romans.
Really?
Longinus's legions defeated the barbarians near Tolosa, or modern-day Toulouse.
Yeah, but you are not winning against the Cimbrians, okay? You are winning against their newest ally.
Unfortunately for them, the avarice of the victorious commander impeded his ability to finish the job. Though the Tigerini had been broken and driven west in disorder, Longinus was loath to leave the captured baggage wagons and their loot. When the legions finally did zero in on the Tigerini, they had had plenty of time to prepare. Reinforced, the Allied army ambushed Longinus's army somewhere in the Garonne Valley, near modern-day Bordeaux. This time, however, the Roman commander would not escape a soldier's death. To rub salt into the collective wound, the surviving legate, Caius Popilius Laenus, was surrounded and forced into a humiliating surrender.
Mm-hmm.
With 3 straight...
He actually followed them into, like, deep territory. Not gonna lie. Did.
defeats behind them and nothing to shield the homelands themselves from barbarian aggression. Rome longed for a success.
Rome is like throwing... Before it was like Rome is throwing soldiers into meat grinder. Now Rome is just throwing commander after commander into a meat grinder.
In 106 BC, the consul Quintus Servilius Caepo did manage this. Caepo engaged and defeated a recently rebelled Volcae tribe. He seized Tolosa, and if rumors were true, much more besides. In taking the place, Caepio also seized a vast treasure that Orosius wrote amounted to 100,000 pounds of gold and 110,000 pounds of silver. Though sending the hoard on to Marsilia, the gold conveniently disappeared en route, with fingers naturally pointing at Caepio.
Damn.
The theft of the treasure, though, would take a temporary back seat to imminent events. With the northern threat still overshadowing the Republic, in 105 BC, new consul Gnaeus Malleus Maximus was tasked with destroying the tribal alliance once and for all. But picking him for the expedition was not conducive to a smooth, united...
It's pretty wild to see like how big the Alps actually are. Damn.
response to the northern threat, especially considering that...
No, first now I realized that Bowie also have a small territory here.
Roman Senate had his co-consul Publius Rutilius Rufus at their disposal. Rufus was a proven commander, distinguished in the Battle of Mutul, who had served alongside Jugurtha and Gaius Marius himself, under the command of Scipio Aemilianus in the Numantine War. In contrast, Malleus was a so-called novus homo, a new man, one without a long and distinguished family.
A new verse, huh? Interesting.
Background. Eager to forge his own military reputation, he succeeded in getting elected to lead the consular army against the northern invaders. Proconsul Caepio especially resented Malleus's superior rank, given his own much more prestigious background. The result of this hostility within the Roman leadership was a disunited front against the decidedly united allied tribes.
All right, I am going to stop it here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will have the original video down in the description. Okay, the Cimbrian. I'm pretty curious of why we don't learn about the Cimbrian in Denmark, honestly. Interesting. Yeah, I really like this. Again, it's kind of the animation I'm used to now, and it's pretty nice to see, honestly. I like it. So, yes, if you guys want to check out some more history videos, I will have it up on the screen. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. See ya.
Bare feet in the furrowed ground, dust on my tongue, heat bearing down, sun like a hammer on my back, name I was born with, they took that. But my chains flow soft like water, running through this tired soul. together. You can't cage what rivers know.